I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, Mike will be right with us, and then we can get on with approving the minutes from the August 12th regular meeting minutes.
I make a motion that we accept those minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 August 12th, 2019 work session minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second. Did you start the
No, you did.
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
August 12th, 2019 non-public meeting minutes.
I move that we accept those minutes as written.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The Select Board will meet on the following dates. Regular meeting, 6 p.m. Monday, September the 9th, 2019, and Monday, September 23rd, 2019. Work sessions prior to the regular meeting will start at 5 p.m. Town offices will be closed Monday, September the 2nd, 2019, in observance of Labor Day. All the above meetings will be held in the Town Hall unless otherwise posted. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Alternate members are always needed to fill positions on the Zoning Board, Planning Board. If interested, please submit a letter of intent to the Plymouth Select Board's office, 6 Post Office Square, Plymouth, New Hampshire, 03264. Appointments. We have a motion to appoint to trustee Mike of the trust funds, Mike Courier.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for stepping up.
Thanks for coming for you, Mike.
I was going to say it's my ride.
We do appreciate you stepping up, Mike. You're always there, and we appreciate that very much.
He's pretty heavy-handed.
All right, we also have a letter, Dear Office of the Select Board. This letter is to request appointment to serve on the Plymouth Conservation Commission as a full member. As a resident of Plymouth, I care deeply about the quality of the land and water around us. By serving on the Conservation Commission, I can help the town meet its conservation goals. On August 16, 2016, the Conservation Commission reviewed my work and voted to approve my appointment. I hope you agree. As background information, I've been a resident of Meredith since 1981. Moved to Plymouth in May of this year. I've been an avid hiker for many years in the White Mountains and on local neighborhood trails. I was an alternate for the Conservation Commission in Meredith for several years and helped with trail maintenance, tree clearing, and water runoff issues in the Hamlin Woods property by Lake what?
Wigwas.
Wigwas. Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we appoint Mark Tuckerman to the Conservation Commission.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Mark Tuckerman is now a full-time member. And thank you, Mark, for stepping up. Okay. Permit request, Eric Miller. Yes, go ahead. Or you can come up if you want to. There's a microphone there at any while.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. So what, are you looking for just a general description to start with and you have some questions or?
Yeah, just a description of what you're requesting.
Sure. So the building over at Hitchner Road is 32,000 square feet. We are clearing out 6,000 square feet of it in order to run a haunted house for a period of time during the Halloween season. We are anticipating 3,000 to 5,000 guests over 15 sessions, we think. So about each session is about 4 hours. No more than 50 people in the haunted house at any given time, other than actors and staff. And just the timing of it works out so that we believe that we'll have parking for roughly about 80 cars in addition to the staff that will be there, which will park elsewhere, which would allow for adequate off-street parking during this process. The warehouse itself, they had the front entrance, and in the back of it, there's 3 different fire doors. There's directly behind where the haunted house will be. There's a straight line that goes back to a fire door. There is, if they make a left, there is another fire door directly about 130 feet that way. And if they make a left, there's another option to go towards the back of the building. So there's a total of 3 fire doors in the back, plus the front entrance. The building is sprinklered. It has been inspected. It has a fire alarm system. And there will be security floating inside the haunted house. There'll be security behind the haunted house and out front as well. And it's just a way of sort of counterbalancing the seasonal nature of moving and storage. Moving and storage, we have 9 months where we are going strong, and then it's kind of quiet for the balance of the year.
So when is this going to happen? Is it 15 sessions? Or?
So we put down October 17th, and it ends November 2nd. October 17th will be a sort of a dress rehearsal, open to sort of friends and family, won't really be open to the public, and we work out logistical issues that day. And then Friday the 18th, so the idea is 2 weeks before Halloween, it'll be Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday session. The week before Halloween will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then the week of Halloween, there'll be Tuesday through Saturday. So the Saturday after Halloween, it shuts down.
And has our police chief, not police chief, our fire chief, has Tom Morrison been there yet? Or
I spoke with the assistant chief and went through and addressed the concerns. he wanted to make sure that the sprinkler system was operational and inspected, and it has. In fact, we put a copy of that, the latest inspection in the permit request. The annual inspection of the fire extinguishers are due to happen in the next 2 weeks or so. That's the normal time it would happen. And then he explained that they'll come by and do an on-site inspection prior to, going live.
How about traffic control?
So Brian actually has the permit application, and he was taking it to the different departments to get them to review it and sign off on it. So I think we should have it back tomorrow, so they can address the traffic control when he goes to see the police department.
There was a message on my voicemail from the chief of police who said he was signing it today. That I received a phone call asking about traffic, and I talked about the parking situation. So relatively speaking, what we're thinking is if there's 50 people inside the haunted house and there's 50 people waiting to go in, that's roughly 100 people. We have off-street parking for 80 cars. That should keep it out of the street. So I think from a traffic standpoint, you'll have a little bit of congestion getting in and out of the turn there, but after that, it should be free and clear.
Okay, Bill?
You're going to target it for like 10 to 15 or something like that? Or not really youngsters or?
It's 13 and above. This
Okay.
is, aimed, it will be scary.
So like middle school. So we're talking like probably 6th through, 6th grade and up, probably.
Yes.
Because you're going to get there's going to be a lot of kids trying to get in there.
Yeah.
Probably.
And it's, in order to attract, you have to do a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have
Absolutely.
between 15 and 20 actors and actresses, and we have right now roughly 10 different sort of scenarios where we will, it'll play out. There's a little bit of escape room element of it. There'll be a couple puzzles to sort of solve along the way. And what we're trying to do is to give a rich sort of experience to the kids.
So you put in like that age range. Are you keeping it at 13 and up, or is it how is that going to work? You said roughly. So.
Well, no, I can say definitively 13 or up.
Okay.
It won't be appropriate for younger than that, and 13 they probably want to have an adult with them.
Okay.
Because
How,
special effects and people jumping out,
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, there's certain safety elements they can't touch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all anticipation is the biggest element here, but it's a theatrical
Mm-hmm.
presentation.
okay.
Can you invite the board to test it out or?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I don't do scary things.
I was just saying, not all of us are going to take you up on that.
okay.
We have some scary meetings, so.
Yeah, actually, on the 17th is we're going to work out the kinks, so you're more than welcome to come by.
How are you going to schedule, you said 40 in and 40 waiting, how?
So they go in groups of 8 with a maximum of 10, so that when we group them before they go in, they're going in as a group. And unlike other haunted houses where they can run through, we actually have doors that will stop them, pause them, and they go. So like when they go into a puzzle room, they're in the puzzle room for 4 minutes. In the end, there is a puzzle for them to solve to resolve the issue that's causing the haunting at the. In this year, it's an insane asylum, but there'll be a 4-minute puzzle for them to solve, and if they solve it, they've fixed it. If they didn't, well, on to the next group. And there will be a photo op for them at the end, so they'll end up being able to take pictures with the ghouls.
Will they schedule, will they call and reserve a time, or are people just gonna, because I could see, it's open at, whatever the time is when they open, that you could have 70 or...
Yeah, upon approval of the permit, we'll have a webpage up and running that will open up the sessions and have them, the ability to get online tickets. And it will be limited. In other words, you can't overrun, the place. And, security is an issue. So what we'll have is that anyone that we believe is possibly under the influence, we're not going to outright accuse them, but there'll be security personnel hovering behind them, and in the back. So when they clear the haunted house, there's a security personnel that directs them. So inside that section of the warehouse, it's all controlled lighting. The second you leave the haunted house section, it's normal lighting with more than enough, a 5-foot wide path straight to the fire doors, all three of them, with directions on how to get outside. And security personnel to make sure that they do that properly.
Kathy?
So once Brian gets all of the signatures, we'll put it in the signature file. You'll be able to review and see, what
Okay.
the chiefs say.
Okay.
And then you can sign off on it if you approve it.
Okay. All right.
How much are you charging a ticket?
So we're about $25 a ticket. We will have a large quantity of coupons. We'll bring it down to about $20 a ticket. We're still working out the group sales, but for a group of 10 or more, we'll probably be about 18-ish.
So if you're selling tickets, then like a session will sell out, so people just won't show up for that session,
And if
just
we
to try and get in.
Yeah, so if we sell out, we'll have a sign up at the road indicating this session's sold out,
Yeah.
to try to wave them off. This is sort of a limited run. Other haunted houses would run from the beginning of October to the end. This is our first year, so we are only limiting it to 15 sessions, and investing quite heavily in sort of special effects and lighting and audio and all that stuff. Next year, we'll grow it and go a little bit deeper in terms of investment, in terms of capital purchases. This year, we're relying on the actors and actresses heavier than we will in previous years.
Eric, do you have insurance to cover?
I do. So there is specialty insurance that will cover it. So that will be general liability that will cover the public. I also own the building, so it will also cover me as a building owner, so that the liability insurance I have on the building doesn't answer, the actual policy will answer. And then we will actually have workers' comp on the employees. The majority of haunted houses do this as independent contractors. There is a possibility of an overexcited guest, pushing or, whatever. And so we will have workers' comp as well. And I'm putting it into it won't be in the moving and storage business corporation. It's a different corporation than I have. Basically, I have a holding company, put the property in one, moving in another, and this will be in a third just to separate out liabilities. But yes, it will have insurance.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so are you hiring in the actors, a company to come in and
No,
some contractor?
No, we're gonna
Do it all on your own?
Yeah, we're gonna lean upon Plymouth State's theater program and a few others in the area.
Nice.
My son, who was hoping to be here, but he's stuck on a moving job, is 10 years into the theater. He'll be the artistic director and run that.
Yeah, I did Haunted Hayrides 13 and 14 years ago for 2 years, so I know it's a lot of work, but I'm glad you're doing this. This is great.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I retired from insurance after 30 years in 2015, and so when I decided to get back into something, I decided I'm going to do something that I actually have fun at. Not that insurance wasn't fun, but,
Right.
relatively speaking.
Never fun. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Paul, do you have anything?
Are we going to have police and fire personnel there from the town?
neither one have said that they are planning on that, but, I mean, I'd be open to it. Inside our office will be sort of a control center where the lighting is controlled, but there will also be cameras throughout the entire piece. So if they were to show up, the most logical place is for them to stand there, because they'll be able to see what's happening outside, inside, and in the back from one set of screens.
I'm just thinking liability, that's, I'll talk with the chiefs.
Does that mean that you can also, like, if somebody clearly is having a problem, you can just turn all the lights on?
Yeah, so,
The control center?
yeah, so the way it works is that you have the theatrical lighting. You also have normal lighting. So there'll be LEDs that will be on top, that'll be off. If there's a, let's say, a medical issue, right, what will happen is the production stops. Everything gets lit up. Because we have cameras, we're directing someone to the person who's in distress and then dealing with that from the standpoint. The side road so if you come down into where the warehouse is, there's a road that runs along the side of the building. That road will remain open for first responders so that they can come right to the back door and meet anyone who might need medical assistance. But you know, it is. And then the other issue, and you had mentioned what the fire department asked for. The other thing they asked for was battery-operated exit lights. So if the power gets cut, you have the battery-operated lights. Those will also be present.
Anything else, Paul?
No.
Okay. Anything else from the board? All right. Well, it sounds like a great endeavor and that people should enjoy it. So hopefully we'll get all the proper signatures and then we can come in during the week and sign off on it and get it to you.
My cell phone number is on the application along with the business number.
Okay.
I'm out in the field a couple times a week, so if you're looking for me, probably my cell is the best way to reach me. But I'm easy to find.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good opportunity for the town, too. It brings a lot of people in, I hope.
Yeah, I think it's worked out.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay. Mike Courier. Update and presentation on the skateboard park.
Great pleasure that I do this. I'll tell you, 10 years is a long time. So let's see my technical experience if I can do this the right way.
Gonna run it on that?
First, I got to turn that on, which I think Andrew's in service.
Yes.
That's me swimming in the ocean. I don't know, I may need some help here.
Don't look at me.
No shot visible.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some help. I put together a bunch of slides for this, so you can kind of see from the beginning on through and how the whole process went. And we have a real treat at the very end. We're gonna do the guys from Mud Dogs, who are the construction company, they put a little, what is that, Robin, on?
A montage.
Yeah, of pictures of the work that they did, all suppressed. I don't know why they charged us so much. They got it all done in a very short period of time. But so here's our skate park of Plymouth. This is when we first put in the strip on the left with the bowl. This is going back, God, I don't know, 10 years, I guess, or a little less than that. And at that point in time, we had gone to Community Guarantee Savings Bank, and we had borrowed $35,000 and had that long strip with a box and a rail and the bowl put in at that point in time. So for the next several years, we did a ton of fundraising, and we were the fence going around it cost us $10,000 due to the insurance that we recovered. Insurance was $11,000 a year before it was gifted to the town. So we were, cracking a pretty big nut between all those things, and we eventually paid off the note to the bank, and we decided that, and this is the first skate jam at the park, And I counted about 60 people there, but I'm sure we probably had closer to 100 all in all. And as you can see, everyone was pretty excited, and all the kids down by the bowl, but not a whole lot of room. There was a lot of waiting going on, but so we knew that we had to do something at some point in time. We continued to raise money. People would donate, like this half pipe here was donated by a local person, and we tried to bring in whatever we could to increase the opportunities for kids to skate there. Then we put the pad in, and this pad, we got concrete guys, probably 150 years of experience, who donated their day. This was done in one day, and the cost of the concrete was $13,000. That job, I was told, would cost about $40,000 if we were paying somebody. So we got a good deal on the concrete, and of course the great guys that came to working for RM Piper and different companies, you know, it really did a great job. Rich Gowan and a bunch of those guys did a phenomenal job helping us with that. So that created this, which is progress, and the kids would bring in a lot of mobile features that they just would move here and there and whatnot, so it would give them opportunity to do more and more things. And then this is what it looked like just before the construction started in July, on July 22nd. So that's what we started with. The Mud Dogs came to town, and that is on the north end where the quarter pipe is the Love Jesus part right there. And then they brought in a lot of fill and whatnot to start building that. And again, there's where the rebar that they put in there, and the earth and whatnot. This gives you a little better picture what they're doing. You can see on the left that they're using a long 2x4, and they grade that up to get rid of the excess and smooth it out. So it looks like that before they go into the actual final smoothing out. That gives you kind of a good picture of the walls down there. And it also shows, coming this way a little bit, there's a pyramid that they were going to put together, which I'll show you more of. Again, another picture here, and then there's the finished product coming up after this. So they smooth it out. It's pretty incredible watching these guys work, and they work their butt off. It's tough work. I got tired just watching them. But this is the final product. So you come from the very top where it was the original quarter pipe, and then they progressively decline in size. And that was made, I really wanted to see that done because I wanted young kids to be able to learn and be able to, you know, start small and go big. And then they put, of course, on the top, so you can skate down from the top all the way around, and it comes around this corner, and you'll see how that plays out a little bit down. So here's one of the boxes they put in, and that's the finished product. And then here's the second box. So they had a big box and a smaller box because the kids go higher level and go to lower, or vice versa. And this is the putting the mud in there, putting the concrete in there. And we had to have hoses run through in order to do that. And it was quite expensive, but it was well worth it. And there's sort of the finished product of those two boxes and what they look like. This is towards the bowl end of it, looking from the bowl to the north. And there again, the wall that's behind there, that's what you had just seen in the picture previous. And this is they call it a pyramid, where kids will skate up and over. And there was pouring the mud there, and it was quite a interesting project to walk. And these guys got to work pretty fast, especially if it's warm, because the stuff will set up pretty fast. And there's the final look at the pyramid. So they built that wall behind it, and then they put that off it. On the other side, there's what they call a ramp to ramp that's always been there. So they've got that on that side and this on the other side. Now this is up by the bowl, you can see, and it's coming down onto where the previous runway section was, and that's looking down that way for it. And that's the finished product right there, as you can see. And then they set up everything along that wall, other quarter pipes, and the middle one is higher than the other two, and it's become kind of the favorite feature on there. You can see to the right, there's actually a jersey barrier. And the guy said, we got to have a jersey barrier. So I made some phone calls, looked at some prices, and Rich Gowan just bought one and dropped it off for us. So that was pretty nice. And I'd say the one thing along the whole way is the town of Plymouth was incredible. The people that live here were incredible. One of the guys walking down the street and says, hey, you one of those Mud Dogs? And he said, yeah. He says, here's $20, go buy your buddies around. You know, and I'll get into all the donations of equipment and food and all the things that came along with this project, because it's pretty incredible. I'm not surprised, though. This is Plymouth. This is what we do. And here's the finished product on that end. And then down around behind the bowl, there's a bench on the right, and then there's the a little piece up there in the corner where they can go up and down the other side. That's the bench. You'll see they engraved MD for Mud Dogs with rebar in that. You can't really see it that clearly, but you will in a
And they
minute.
got the stones that are embedded in there from the river, because they would go swim in the river after work every day.
Yeah.
Behind Green Street.
And then they said, you know, you need a sidewalk and curbing here, because kids really like the street stuff. So this is, actually, this is Chris Grenier, who was a professional snowboarder who's part owner of the company, and he was putting that in. And then you can see where that long piece is. But then when you looked at extending it down and doing a few more things to it, you come up with this. And that's a sidewalk with a rail, and that's my good friend Huck Rand, who's helping us out here. So Huck's like 5 years old, and he and his dad were down helping out. There's another, just a good view of the sidewalk and the box and how that looks. And again, from this perspective, it gives a good show. Now this is from the bowl looking down, so you can see where, if you can go back and envision what we had before and what we have now, it's pretty incredible improvement on things. And that's a nice aerial view of the bowl area. And again, that's kind of the whole park. And again, now I'm showing this again because this is where we started. And we moved to this, and then we ended up with this. And I took that picture, the first picture, how many years ago, and I was pretty excited. Hey, we have a skate park. But I looked at this, like, this is just, you know, incredible what this has turned out to be. So I have this in there because that Kubota was donated by Bruce Wiggett, who's a local guy, grew up, went to high school here, taught at the university, and he donated that piece of equipment for the entire 3 weeks the guys were here. In the back, you can see there's kind of a red, it's a welder with a generator, and Craig Keeney of Keeney Welding donated that for the entire time too, so we're talking huge savings. Steve Rand donated $1,000 worth of rental equipment as well, which made up a big difference. We went around to the Beckett School, who gave us equipment. We went to R.M. Piper, who gave us a lot of equipment to use. It was just pretty incredible as far as how we kept the cost. Now that's Chip. Chip's a good guy. Threw that in for a little comic relief. There's your Mud Dogs right there. And this is what I got from Ben Page, who's one of the co-owners. And he said, from the bottom of my heart and from all the guys, thank you, Mike. What an unforgettable experience in Plymouth. I'm so proud of what we accomplished. It's awesome to do a project of this nature where it felt like we were building with the community instead of just for them. And you and Robin's hospitality was over the top for guys like us. Tell Robin we love her, and she sure spoiled us with that food and best damn blueberry pie ever. We won't ever forget. So, you know, way to a man's heart is through his stomach, right?
Speaking of food, tell them about the donations.
Oh, yeah. Alex Ray gave everybody a $150 gift certificate to eat at any one of his restaurants. Dunkin' Donuts gave us 8 $100 cards for them to eat and whatever they needed to do. The last chair in 1766, Tuesday night was their night to feed the guys. And then Eddie at the Cafe Monte Alto gave them free coffee in the morning. And Scott Biederman gave them a sandwich and a drink every single day that they were here. Even when they extended, they stayed here an extra week because they loved the project and they didn't feel it was done, and they kind of, you know, added on to some things. So we just had so much help from the community. I mean, it's a real example of who we are and what we can do without going to taxpayers. Nothing to do with the skate park has ever cost the town a dime, and that's regardless of whatever we do down there, it never will, because you can do it without it. So these are the boys. On the left, there's Chip again. And then we got Brett. And in the middle, that's Ben Page, who is one of the co-owners. And then Andy is the next guy. Andy was here with the first crew who built the first part. So he came back to kind of see the finish of it. And then we've got Chris Grenier, who is a professional snowboarder. He runs with guys like Pat Moore and whatnot, so he's a pretty talented guy. And that's it. They came, they saw, they built good times. And that's their logo, is they build good times. And I think they did. The use down at the park is incredible. I don't know who's been down there, but the number of cars every single day. Robin and I came back from South Carolina on like the 17th or 18th, and the first place we went was there, and I pulled in, and I see all these cars and kind of like 25 kids in there skateboarding, and I almost cried. It was a great moment. But every single day there's lots of people down there, and it's not just the older guys. It's some guys that can really skate well, but also the little kids. You know, there were a couple of guys with bicycles today, and I see parents sometimes would bring their little kids and come in the morning, and they're, you know, pedaling all over the place. Of course, there's the pump track also, which is very popular. So it's become a good space. I mean, from where it started to where it's at now, I think it's really become a plus for the town. And, you know, I talked to some guys the other day. They came from Guilford, Franconia Notch. I mean, they're coming from all over the place. And when I talk to people who are skateboarders, and I ask them, how do we fit in here as far as good skate parks in New Hampshire? They say, you could be the best. Wow. Nashua is more intense for more experienced, so they have higher elements, but the flow is so good and it's so casual, and that people can do a lot of different things and learn and expand on their skills, that it's become very, very popular. And we haven't seen what's going to happen down there, I don't think so. And the other thing is, you know, there were times when we had some elements down there that weren't, you know, so much wanted. And those elements, I just don't see them down there anymore, because the guys going and girls going down there, skateboarders, they're legit. And there's none of this doing this and that and everything else they shouldn't be doing. And the kids that I've seen down there, they're primarily younger kids looking for a good time. They're not there anymore because they don't feel comfortable, which is great. So I think anything, you know, between the pump track and then the skate park and the graffiti park even, we've got a good mix down there. And I think with a good mix of people, it's going to keep it kind of on the down low and casual and whatnot. And the kids have been very respectful. They're starting to pick up after themselves, and we're really kind of pushing that whole thing. So that was that part. And then I want to just show you this quick clip, because I know I'm taking a lot of time here, if I can get to it. All right, Andrew. Okay, and that's at the bottom. And thank you, dear. And this is just something they put together, which I thought was really pretty cool. But it's going to go through. You're going to see a lot of fast pictures here, but they're.
Jeez.
Like I said, I don't know why they build us so much. They did it so fast, but I mean, jackhammers and jumping jacks, compactors. I think that's it. So that's it. I want to really thank the town, because I know our situation. We're tight purse strings, so we got to have that. But the town has been there every step of the way for this project. Planning board, select board, I mean, everybody involved, town administrator, everybody has been so helpful in this process. You know, I thank everybody for what they've done. And there've been a lot of people on our board that have helped out along the way. And over the last 10 years, I started doing a list of all the people that have donated in some fashion to it. And it really has been a tremendous community area project, because we had restaurants from out of town. We did fundraisers here and there. But the town of Plymouth has been phenomenal in this regard. And I got a couple more projects I'm thinking about, but again, it will not cost the town any money. And I think that's important. But I mean, it's really, you know, what did Kennedy say? It's not what your country can do for you. Well, it's not what your town can do for you. It's what you can do for your town. And I think with that attitude, we can make Plymouth even better and more enticing. These people coming into town for the skate park, they're going to buy gas, and they're going to buy drinks, and they're going to buy food, and they're going to, buy different things. So I think that just getting the traffic increased into town is going to benefit the town financially as well. It's going to make it a stopping point. And you go to the university, and a lot of those students, they'll tell you, I came here because I'm a snowboarder, and they got a skate park. And that's the flip side of the snowboarding world. So it gives them an opportunity year-round to train and exercise and work on certain things. So I'm going to go to the university and see if they got a little something for us too, but material-wise, because I know that they're, we're all in the same boat when it comes to the money. So we do what we can without it, and I guess that's it. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you,
job,
Mike,
Mike.
for your dedication. It's, you've been there spearheading it for 10 years, and like I say, you've been before the planning board, select board, and every other board you could get their ear.
Well,
I
that's
think you and I, John, were on the planning board when Mike first
yeah,
came.
yeah, you were.
We were.
No, well, it's been, it's just something that a lot of us felt was really necessary in town. There's the kids that play football and basketball and lacrosse and all that, but there's a lot of kids that don't. And to give them a venue, a place where they can congregate, just to congregate, to stay out of trouble, and then the ones that want to skate and bike and whatnot, it just gives us another dimension here that reaches out to the teenagers. And we've never really, I grew up across the river in Holderness. We never really had anything for the teenagers. Park and Rec does a phenomenal job with the younger kids and whatnot, but there's never really been anything that we could put out there for teenagers. I think this is the first park really that's kind of geared towards that, but it still includes the young kids too. But that's great. It's a good thing. So.
Do you want to give us a preview of what's you're thinking about?
Well, what I would like to, as far as the skate park goes, what I would like to do is it's very, very hot down there. And I know I can get some shade built down there. So just some, 4x4, 8x8s or whatever, and do like just kind of an overhang to give some light. And then I was talking to Steve Whitman, and I said, geez, couldn't you put solar panels on top of the that? And he says, yeah, I think we could. So, because the kids have been talking about lights.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's something we could do through solar energy, and I'm going to meet with some folks this week just to gather information to see how feasible it would be. Because a lot of times in the summer it's hot, and the kids, if they could skate beyond 6, 7, to like say 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night at the latest, I think it would be a good thing too. And when it's dark out, there's usually nothing good that goes on with teenagers, but not all of them, just the ones I work with. But no, they're all good kids. They just, it's like they need a place to race. They need a place. So I've been thinking about that, and there seems to be a real strong desire for a dog park. And I've spoken to Alex Ray about the piece down there. He owns all that stuff in there, and I know he has some potential future things he wants to do, but it seems like that might fit in there. And I've been contacted by people who have got grants for money, and we have the person power to put up that. So, but that'll be a whole nother thing that we'll see how that goes. But again, it will be something that I think a lot of people would like to have, because people go to Hooksett, they go to Laconia, they go to Manchester in order to let their dogs run and play. So I think it probably would be a good addition. And again, that's another piece that we add into the population and demographics down there, which I just think helps keep things balanced, So that was kind of another thought. Oh, and the other piece is between the corner where the skate park is and the pump track, that open area there, I was thinking about perhaps a toddler's park, where if a mom and dad came down with a 2-year-old and a 10-year-old, they could play with their 2-year-old and they could keep an eye on their 10-year-old. So that too, and neither one of these things is very expensive. And again, the funds would be raised, would not be a cost to the town in terms of that. But of course, we work with you to see what we can and can't do and the feasibility of it all. But in my mind's eye, I want to make that the nicest park in town, and one that when people come up Route 3 or when they come into town and they see it, they go, wow, let's get down there right now and utilize it. So.
And then Mike's idea about a pool.
And Mike said we need a pool, so I,
Solar panels could heat it.
I'm from Claremont, and I traveled back
Yeah.
there, and I saw their community center, and it's phenomenal. I mean, that's a city,
yeah.
but boy, was I surprised.
I saw it 20 years ago, and I was amazed at the pool and everything, the community pool, so, yeah.
Well, this was was it 20 years ago?
No,
Well-
this is new.
This is new,
It's the
but,
same one I've been to,
Yeah, it's right across from the junior
Okay.
high.
right across from the junior high.
Yeah.
okay, all right, well, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, it's finding people, finding a way, and collaborating to make it happen. And, you know, there are good people in this town, we know. And I just think that, you know, coordinating that and throwing some ideas around, I think it can happen. Find some rich people that need a write-off. So, that's it. Thanks again. This has been a great project. It's still got little pieces to go, but it's phenomenal. And what you've allowed to happen here is quite a project, so.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have committee reports? Mike?
Yeah.
Sound like you're gonna be busy for a while, Mike, with all those plans. All right.
Used to it.
Thanks again.
So I attended the school board meeting 2-3 weeks ago before school started, obviously, and they talked about the class sizes and some of the testing that they'd done with the students, and Plymouth seems to be doing well. We also, last Thursday, we had a parking committee meeting, and let's see, 22. Oh, Kayla Walsh is running the meetings for the PES side, and Mark is still running the meetings for the high school. And Frank V is the new president for PES school board. So the parking committee meeting, there was phase one that we're still working on, which is having Scott be more of a presence on Main Street, which we've all agreed upon that is definitely happening, and Scott's doing a good job. People are not just parking their car, they're actually paying the meters now because they know Scott will be around. Chief LaFave is working on the new fines, which we talked to him about increasing the fine so the people would not just park the car, get their $10 ticket and park all day and run to class or wherever they had to go. So that is still in the works, which would have to have at least one public hearing. So that will hopefully be something that the select board will be working with to do a hearing soon. So fines were part two of phase one, and the third was employee parking, which if we only have 250 spots around the Common and around Main Street, north and south, and there's 60 businesses that may have 1 or 2 employees, that could be 60 to 120 spots that are being taken up just by the employees of the businesses. So we're looking to find more parking for them, which would open up for customers. So we did a on-site visit by the senior center. So we left the meeting here, went down to the senior center, and there was a lot of agreement that there's quite a bit of use that could be more efficient with the land right across between the river and the senior center. So there is a subcommittee that we assigned to draw up something, and also Gail from the senior center came out and talked with us as well. And Joe, Chief LaFave, and Frank Miller have all agreed to work on a drawing that we could present to Gail to get her just agreement, and then come to the select board and see whether we can move forward with that design. Also, Joe has been agreeable with this, to serve on this committee to design it, and also has even gone further to suggest that there could be 8 more spots just in front of his shed. And so it's, the town businesses were very appreciative of Joe offering that as well. Anything you want to add, Joe? Okay. Frank, do you mind if Frank adds anything at this point?
My inventory is complete, and I'll type up the results, and I hope to get that to this board and the planning board and other members of the highway department, so we can look at some of the parameters that we actually have, and it also expands on some other areas that we could use multi-level parking potentials, and start looking at how we can profile the potential and see where we can move forward to getting those funds to accomplish the additional parking systems that we need.
Also, the committee talked briefly about the Plymouth Inn site, which I keep mentioning on a regular basis. There was a quote or an estimate by the town engineer for $96,000 to make that 15 spaces. It's a lot of money. I've talked to Alex Ray about whether there's some sort of partnership we could do. I know that the town businesses who rent space from the town for their employees to park are paying a nominal fee. I believe it's I think it averages out to $35 per parking space per month over the 12 months, which also includes snow removal by Joe and the crew. So at some point, that seems reasonable to them. At some point, that's something maybe the select board could look at to see whether that is the fee that we should be charging, whether it should be less or more. Maybe look at what other towns charge. It seems extremely reasonable. I thought, I was caught off guard. I thought it was a lot more until they let me know what that rental of each space is. That's it.
Bill?
We had a Conservation Commission meeting on the 20th, and Mark Tuckerman attended that meeting, and he's now a member. And we also have a new website that's up, and I think I sent an email to Juliet Harvey to see if we could tie it into the front page of the town website. There is a link, but I think that needs to be updated. So I think I sent an email out to Juliet, and we have an intern that showed up for the meeting, and she is working on the website as well as GIS issues with that. We also have trail maintenance equipment that we just purchased, and we're looking at where we should store that to be both accessible and also utilized by the different people that want to maintain trails. We've got Mark as far as a new member, but there are a couple of openings for full-time memberships, so if anyone's interested, please step forward. And we're also going to be discussing, I guess, interest in addressing invasives, specifically knotweed, bittersweet. I mean, we've never really accomplished doing an inventory of the different invasives around town. I think that's going to have to be done, and then address how we can take care of them. And we're also maybe looking at collaborating with projects with neighboring commissions. Also maybe Rotary and Friends of the Penny and maybe Parks and Rec. That's pretty much it. And then we also have a PERLAC meeting tomorrow night, and we're going to be discussing perhaps doing a new river maintenance plan, and also, how we can obtain some grant funding from DES for different projects. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, Brian?
It's not really a committee that I'm on, but I had a chance to go downtown to the Common last Friday. Plymouth State's Office of Community Impact was holding a community cleanup day for first-year students that had just moved in. So these 20-plus students had not even been to the town of Plymouth for 24 hours, and they're already engaged in a being involved in their community, which I thought was pretty good. I had a good chance to thank them. One of the workers for the office, I thought this is pretty cool. She works for the Office of Community Impact. She made a map of the town and a key to where the students were to go and take off stickers off meters and fence posts, and clean up the couple of the black metal trash cans we have in the Common and paint them over, and thought it was a great gesture and teaching moment for the new students that are moving into Plymouth for the next 4 years to, immediately be engaged and, know that this is their community and, take ownership in that. So that was pretty cool. So I want to give them another shout out and thank them again.
Brian, do you know how many showed up?
Yeah, it was about over 25. So around that number. Plus there was also upperclassmen, student leaders leading each group of first-year students around town in these specific areas that were identified. So it's great. It's pretty cool.
Jenny, did you have anything?
I'm not on any boards yet,
Okay.
happily.
In time?
Yeah.
In time.
All right. Okay, Paul?
Got a New Hampshire DOT update for you. I'm glad Mike Curry was here with a lot of good news tonight. This isn't good news. This has to do with Highland Street. And for those that are out there that are just listening in tonight and don't know the whole history, a couple of years ago, the state was going to give us $1,075,752 to do Highland Street. And then we had found out in August that they weren't going to give it to us. And we were setting the tax rate in October, and the taxes went up $4 because of that decision. We made up a lot of that last year, and we took money that we had in the Highland Street Fund and did about a $550,000 job on Highland Street with what we had. That money was to be used on the other roads in town when the state gave us the $1 million to do Highland Street. That didn't happen. At that time, we didn't get the money because the state moved us out of that 10-year plan into the next 10-year plan. They did not put us in the first year of the 10-year plan. They put us in 2027. Senator Guida was able to go down to Concord and help us get to 2025. So as of last month, we were scheduled for engineering to start in 2022 and construction to start in 2025 of Highland Street. And they were supposed to give us $1,370,000, somewhere around that, because that's what the price is going to be up to. Bad news is DOT met with this Board of Selectmen a couple of weeks ago on the roundabout or light intersection of Smith Bridge Road. We got this DOT report. We've been moved out of that window where the engineering is going to be 2027. And though they have on here construction 2027, I can tell you right now it's because they're keeping it in the same 10-year plan. If the engineering is not going to be until 2027, I say Highland Street's not going to be constructed in 2027. As I said, we're scheduled to do engineering 2022 and redo all of Highland Street in 2025. Engineering's been moved up to 2027. What that does to us, and Joe's here tonight, we did the best we could with the money that we had to make Highland Street livable for 5 to 6 years, hopefully, so that when 2025 came along and that started to fail, we'd be ready to redo all of Highland Street. No way is the work that we did out there this past construction season going to make it to 2027. Never mind, if construction goes to 2029. So,
Stinks.
What was the reason that they moved it back even further?
Did they give a reason?
no.
Is there any recourse to say, for them to redo the plan again, or is that not gonna happen?
We can go to Lakes Region, and I know we have to go through the same thing that we did when we belonged to North Country Council. This is our third 10-year plan that we've got bumped into. At least 3 or 4 times we came in tied for first for our project to be done, which was Highland Street. So by the time this happens, we'd be looking at 30 years of Highland Street supposed to be getting done by state funds. And I've budgeted around that for that period of time. The state was supposed to be do phases 1, 2, and 3. They only did phase 1. The townspeople paid for phase 2 and 3. We came up with $1 million to do phase 3. We skipped over phase 2, and this past year we did phase 2. Around $550,000. And still have work out there that we'll be doing over the next several months or next construction season if we don't get to it. So also had to go into our reps again and finding out why we got bumped up. We didn't get that grant. We were also tied for first for a grant to have sidewalks down Langdon Street, down Spear, Cummings Street, around that whole block, safe walk to school. And we were tied for first with Franklin, and Franklin got the grant. And actually, I think Franklin was the only town north of Tilton that got any grant. And that's 2 times we were tied for first on that project. And you have to skip a year, so next year we'll go for it again. We're getting less and less money from the state each year. So,
What about the
What-
Lakes Region?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking just call up Mr. Hayes there and see if we can set up a meeting or something like that to see what they can offer. It's-
and no updates on the roundabout intersection meeting. I do see the DOT out there, and I know that they have put the lines for counting cars across the road. So at least a study is being done, a traffic study. I saw them out there last week. So we'll be calling on that also. I think the board should also contact Senator Guider. You know, he had some kind of pull that got us from 27 to 25 to 2025. I believe he should look and see what happened with his efforts.
I'll give him a call tomorrow. I have to call him on something else.
And I think you might remember that several months ago, it came before the board when the state wanted to cancel us completely because they saw us do this work this summer. And we fought that, and were told that we wouldn't be taken out of the plan. But I believe we just found another way to get taken out.
I will. I'll give him a call tomorrow and see what Bob can do. And I'll get back with you and Joe.
And I'd suggest in capital improvements plan, when we go into our new budget, we should start saving money again for Highland Street. You know, it's what we saw we had to do after phase one was the only phase the state did. We won't make it to 2027 without doing something out there.
Right. Joe, are you gonna work up a schedule of or budgets for the future, depending on what the state, based on what the state's told us now?
I have very little money to work with, but yeah, I have a priority list that I'm getting ready to put some paving out to bid, so I do have some plans worked up.
Joe's under a lot of pressure. We have to tie into the lines on Main Street before water and sewer go down Main Street. And that has to start next year. And we're talking about a $300,000 job to do all of that work.
How much?
$300,000. Around 300, Joe? And then you have entertained people from Stinson Road and the end of Sunrise Circle. So you combine those three together in Pleasant Street, you're talking around $485,000 right there. By the way, which the $500,000 that we had was supposed to go
To those.
to those projects. But everybody's traveled Highland Street. That road could not have gone another year.
Mhm. Well, that give the budget committee something to look at and appropriate and see where we're gonna get the funds. And I'll contact Senator Gatta tomorrow.
Did you want to work to get LRPC? Yes.
You're our rep.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll give him a call.
you should do the rep thing.
Any public comments tonight on items on tonight's agenda? Seeing nothing, we need to go into non-public?
And the personnel.
Yeah.
Hey,
I make a motion that we go into non-public session in accordance with RSA 91-A:32 for A personnel.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye.